Hello again. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Learn How a Managed Machine Translation Solution Eases Localization Pain. My name is Paulamy, and I'll be moderating today's webinar. Just to let you know, we'll be recording this session, and we'll be sharing the link to everyone who has registered for the webinar. We'll open the floor for a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. You can type in your questions in the chat box during the presentation itself, and we'll get back to you after the presentation. This webinar will be hosted by KantanMT Professional Services Team Leader Louise Mihaly and Business Development Manager Mihaly. I will briefly introduce them. Louise's team helps KantanMT clients get familiar with the platform. She has extensive project management experience in the translation and localization industry, having worked at TransPerfect, where she managed complex e-learning translation workflows. Louise holds an European MA degree in Translation Technology from DCU. Mihaly is a Business Development Manager at KantanMT. He also has extensive experience in sales and finance sector and has worked for some of the largest software developers and hardware manufacturers across USA, Asia, and Europe. Now, without further delay, I'll pass on the mic to Louise and Mihaly, who will discuss how a bespoke managed translation consultancy can help overcome localization pain and sell successfully across multilingual borders. Louise, the floor is all yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Paulamy, and I welcome everybody today to our webinar. We're going to go through a number of different topics today, and we're going to get kicked off here by Mihaly. So I'll come back to you about halfway through the presentation, but Mihaly's just going to talk to you a little bit about Kantan, about who we are and about what we do. Okay?
Yes.
All right.
Hi, welcome you all on our call today. I'm just going to kick off with the first slide. Before I do that, I'm going to talk about briefly our professional services, and then also we'll touch base on a few areas that make us stand out of the crowd, why we are actually different from our competitors. So first of all, just to give you an appetizer on professional services, Louise will go into the details later on. The professional services will give you consultation, education in the course of the engine building and customization. Professional services provide our clients with bespoke services in the course of the machine translation deployments. They have a well-established framework for working together with different clients because they have experience in different industries and several different kinds of companies, whether they are SMBs or large enterprise-sized companies. They are also customer obsessed, and that is paired with their wealth of experience. As I said, they've been doing this for years, and they accumulated the best amount of experience how to work together with different clients. My next page will show you how actually we are different, what differentiates us from our competitors. It is security, customization, experience, and answering business needs. First of all, let me touch base on the security. Our security is based on 4 different pillars. At KantanMT, security, integrity, and the availability of customer data is a top priority, and we believe this is vital to our business operations, and of course the success of our clients as well. That's why we have 4 different pillars. First of all, let me touch down base on customer data. Customer data is very important to us, and of course it's more important for you. We never reuse, recycle, or repurpose the data what you give us. And of course, if you decide to unsubscribe from our services, we will delete the data. As for our physical and environmental security, our servers are hosted by Amazon. Therefore, we enjoy all the benefits of their services. As for the application security, we monitor our services and we check our releases for weaknesses. Therefore, we never release anything on the market that would have vulnerabilities. For the e-commerce transaction, when you use our payment site, we also use the services of compliant and certified providers. For the next slide, it is our customization. Louise will touch base on these factors as well, but I'm just going to give you a brief description of how to customize an engine. First of all, you need training data. This can be from your translation memory. It can be glossaries or monolingual files. In case you don't have sufficient amount of this information, of this content, we have several other different tools to complement your data, or actually to provide you with an engine. And of course, professional services will be there for you, and they will provide you with their services. As for experience, we've been working together with different companies. As you can see on my slide, we have a lot of customers in e-commerce, many in the manufacturing industry, in IT and software industry. We also have public institutions, and last but not least, we've been working together with language service providers. As we've been working together with so many different companies, we accumulated a vast amount of experience. And that will lead us to answering your business needs. I just put down a few of those pain points that our clients mentioned in the past. So some clients have too much content to translate. As I mentioned, we are a cloud solution, so we can offer you the possibility of scalability. Our platform was actually made to handle large volume of content. The other problem we sometimes hear about is a slow translation workflow. Historically, we managed to speed up translation workflows by up to 60%. The next pain point is consistency of terminology and organizational style. You might be aware of that when you have different translators working on the content, they all have their own styles. What we can do, we can mimic the translation style of your company, and you won't have problems with that in the future. As I said, security and confidentiality is very important to us. We really take that to the highest standards. Some other customers in the e-commerce sector, they want a solution for their instant real-time translation. They use some kind of chat for their clients, customers, for customer support reasons. We can also offer you that possibility if you were to choose our widgets. And last but not least, we also help you to enter more markets, as we have more than 70 languages and more than 760 language pairs. On the next slide, I will just give the word to Louise, and she will take it over from here.
Thank you very much, Mihaly. Okay, so thank you, Mihaly, for going through what KantanMT can offer for clients that might be interested in a managed translation option. So the following slide just shows you a little bit of some of the differences between going for KantanMT's self-service option, perhaps for which we're better known, and going for the managed option with the professional services team. So the main differences are listed below. With your self-service option, you have your own engines which you deploy yourself, and we closely monitor your progress on the platform, at least at the beginning of your experience with KantanMT. But we find, of course, that there is always a certain amount of a learning curve required to implement machine translation in any workflow. And this is certainly felt at the beginning of a project with the self-service option. So despite the fact that we have training and we have a lot of people looking after you, there's still always a few bugs to iron out at the beginning. With KantanMT Professional Services, you hit the ground running. So you get fully customized engines prepared with your own data, prepared by our experts in-house. And the idea there is that there is no learning curve. You're straight to market with all of our expertise and all of your data and your experience, and you're translating with machine translation as best you could be. A couple of other differences include with the self-service option, you get with our current base plan and all the other plans, there's a capped amount of profiles on your account. Now you can buy more profiles, but at least at the beginning anyway, this number is capped. With KantanMT Professional Services, we really do a full audit of what your pain points are, what your needs are, what your goals are at the beginning, and for that reason, there is no limit to the amount of profiles you might want to create. We just do a full audit at the beginning of the project of what's required, and that's the amount of engines that you'll receive. as your needs grow, as maybe you want to add new languages or you want to add new verticals, that grows with you as well. There's no limit. Thirdly then, with the self-service option, you always get 2 remote training sessions and a dedicated project PM. So when you get set up with the base plan, we get in contact to organise your training sessions, and then we also usually do a follow-up session, so 3 sessions in total, and these are done remotely through GoToMeeting. However, with the professional services option, we customise this training plan completely. So depending on what you want to get out of machine translation, we customise a training plan for you, and that could include training your linguists. It could include training development as to how to integrate with machine translation. It could be a number of different things. And where possible, we like to do this face-to-face. We just find it's a lot more useful to the user and to us. With KantanMT self-service, you also get access to our Kantan LQR platform. And this is our language quality review platform. It's a fully distributed workflow for checking the quality of your machine translation engines, and it can be managed very easily by your machine translation team. This is the best way to improve the quality of your engines by looking at what a human's impression is of the output and adding making real changes to the engine based on that feedback. So you can do that through LQR, but if you're going for KantanMT professional services, we also use Kantan LQR to actually do the quality review project. But after that, then you have our expertise for making real changes to the engines. So it's not just applying new terminology, it's also using our customizable post-editing rules, perhaps using customizable rules for segmentation, for tokenization, treating your part numbers or measurements in a certain way, and all of that is included in the professional services service. Finally then, with self-service, your options for deployment, we have a number of options for CAT tool integration, we have options for different workflows, and we can advise on that. We're quite flexible. But with professional services, we also like to, if there's a need, we also get development involved. So say, for example, your workflow includes a tool that we're not connected in with yet, then we'll explore the option of getting connected with that CAT tool to make sure that it fits in with your workflow as much as possible. And again, this is all decided at project outset when we do a full audit of what your needs are. So, what does a typical project look like for professional services? Quite similar, I would imagine, to doing a machine translation project in-house, but of course we have quite a strict regime of how we approach this, and we don't, unless of course it's required, that's not deviated from, so we know that this works and it's tried and tested. The first phase is the engine building phase, and a lot of that is actually data manipulation, data extraction. So we'll basically do a full research project with you and your linguists and your project managers to see what kind of data is available, what kind of monolingual terminology and bilingual data is available. Then we'll organise a project of copying that over onto our systems, of course completely securely, as Mihaly discussed. Then we go through a period of cleansing and optimization of that data. So we're going to be looking for pulling out the really important terminology, for example, or we might be looking for customizing an engine to the content you want to translate. So say, for example, you want to translate client support content, then we might look at how those sentences are structured and how we can make your data work as hard as possible for that. And then when we've done all of that work on the data, we start building. And we have a very strict process here for how we make that as useful as possible, again, making sure that the data is working as hard as possible for you. That phase of the project usually takes about 2 weeks. The next phase of the project, which is the language quality review, can take anything between 2 and 4 weeks. And that's really why one of the reasons we introduced the Kantan LQR tool is to try and make that a bit faster, because we're working as fast as the linguists can work, and that's what slows us down sometimes. So basically we have a series of language quality reviews and then targeted retraining. So the project is set up in KantanMT. We have a predetermined threshold for what our quality is, what we're happy with, and we're constantly working towards that on KantanMT. After each quality review phase, then we look at the feedback and we try and extract as much as possible from that of edits we can make to the engines to make them better. Then, of course, once the linguists are happy and the client is happy, we move on to the deployment phase. So we have engine sign-off, we've reached our quality threshold and we're happy with that. And then, of course, we have our deployment. I mentioned earlier as well, we can also, if there's a customized deployment scenario, we have our development team working on that throughout the whole project. So there's no waiting around for development to get ready to actually deploy the engines. We're going to get that in place before or while the project is working on. So the next slide asks what plan types are available for professional services clients. So as mentioned, each project is totally different and we have a structure of approaching each project, but it depends so much on the client's needs, on the availability of data, for example, on what the outcome of the project is. Is it for post-editing or is it raw translation output? So we do a full audit on all these kind of needs and goals. But generally, the plans fall into two types. We either do the client fully outsources machine translation to KantanMT, and we create engines on behalf of the client, and we design the workflow, and we do everything. Or the client is more interested in a fast-track customization and training option, where we would get the client up to speed as quickly as possible with the first phase of engines, let's say, while at the same time training their staff on how to do that so they're able to take over. In both options, training is fully included and we can customize that to the client's needs as well. So to go into those options in a little bit more detail, option one, which is the full engine customization and project management option. So a dedicated team works to maximize your engine quality and workflow. And then any engine retraining and machine upgrades are as required. They're agreed on an ongoing basis, much the same as any outsourcing project works. The second option then is slightly different. Your team is guided through the initial stages of setting up an MT engine. Full customization in the first phase, or maybe the first and second phase, is handled by professional services, but we're all along training your team on what we're doing and getting them up to speed. And then, as agreed in the project, a handover strategy is put in place to make sure that the trained up team are comfortable with what they're doing and they're happy to continue doing it after we've moved away from the project. So, just a few conclusions here. A managed machine translation option removes the pain of new markets by providing some of the following benefits. It helps you get to market quicker. A managed machine translation option provides a complete turnkey service with everything that involves. Your existing language resources and terminology are in the engine already, and you get the full benefit of using that. It's fully customized to your needs, so a full audit of all your needs and your goals are done at the beginning of the project and then imbued in the plan for the project. It removes this learning curve where your teams might be getting up to speed with machine translation. It might involve a change in workflow, anything like that. It removes the learning curve and goes straight in. And it means that your full potential is reached at the project outset. Okay, thank you very much for listening, everybody. I'll hand you back to Polemy.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mihaly. Thank you, Louise. We are doing great with time. If you have any questions, everyone, could you please just send it to us in the questions panel, and we'll get to you. Let's just have a look at the questions. Right. So our first question here, Louise, probably you can look at this. How do I localize units of measurement? Would you be taking care of this as professional services?
Okay, yep, that's a great question. We have a piece of technology in KantanMT called KantanMT, which stands for Named Entity Recognition. And we use that mostly for localizing any kind of measurements or any weights or anything like that. And KantanMT is a really cool piece of technology. Basically, it finds a pattern in your data. So, for example, if you have inches in your data, you might have digit, and quotation marks. It looks for that pattern in your data, and then it will provide you with whatever output you want. So it will convert that to meters, for example, or centimeters. And you could even have the optional inches in brackets afterwards. So it's a really nice little tool that we design for our clients, on behalf of our clients in-house in KantanMT.
All right. Thanks, Louise. Let's look at the next question then. Right, the next question here is, you spoke about customized engines. What do you actually mean about that, if you could expand, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, customized engines for us in KantanMT are machine translation engines that have been augmented with your own data. So a lot of our clients would approach us with a certain amount of translation memory data, perhaps glossary data and as well, or only glossary data. Perhaps it could be even just monolingual data in the target language. And we use all of that data to try and develop an engine that will work as well as possible for what you're trying to translate. So if I could use an example, like we have some e-commerce clients that like to translate product descriptions, and for those we actually have two different types of engines. So one engine provides measurements and dimensions and things like that. And then the other engine is a much more fluent engine that's looking at the actual descriptions. So it's looking for full sentences. So you can kind of see how the actual translation output is very different for those two types of content. And so we would customize two different engines to translate those two different types of content using your data.
That's your question. Yes, it does. And it actually seems like we have kind of a follow-up question from that, actually. So if we don't have enough data, would you be able to help us with that?
Absolutely, yeah. So we have some of the options that Mihaly mentioned are Kantan Library and Kantan Fleet. And those are two ports of call when data is a little bit low. So basically, Kantan Library is our library of stock data, which comes in I'm not actually sure of the number of languages that we would know, but a wide variety of languages, and there's billions of words of data up there in lots of different domains. So it's really, and we're of course adding to that all the time. So new markets, new languages that are coming on. I know we're looking a lot for Hindi at the minute, and we're looking for a lot of Russian and new markets as well as European languages. Then the other option is Kantan Fleet. Kantan Fleet is a series of pre-built engines that are actually ready to go. So you can download them onto your platform and start translating straight away. You can also take whatever data you have, even if it's very little data, and add this data to those engines to make them, to improve the content and to customize them for your needs. So we have a number of options for people who, or for clients that are approaching us with not too much data.
Yeah, we have more than 100 fleet engines right now, and we've seen a lot of take-up. Yeah, that's brilliant. Right, actually we are running out of time, so we'll deal with just one more question. And this is the question about money. How much would your service cost? Is this over and above the monthly costs for the platform?
Thank you. I never heard this question actually before. So this is actually over the monthly cost, but as Louise explained, this is a very complex process because we need to understand our customer needs and requirements. So this is very much a consultancy because there has to be a really good communication between the two parties, in this case the client and our company. We need to understand what are the business needs of our clients and what their goals are. And on our side, what is important, how much training data they have, what kind of training data they have, if they have any, the timeline of their projects, how many people are involved actually in their translation, localization department, mapping their workflows, that is also important. Language pairs, some languages are very strong, some languages we don't have that much data, we need to also work on that. But definitely we can work with all the languages what we have. As I said, this is more than 760 language pairs. and the type of content, what kind of content we would like to translate, because some content is more, it's harder to process. Some file formats are not that easy to deal with. So I wouldn't say that would be a fixed price. What we do in this case, we sit down with our clients and we map the following, as I said, their needs and goals, and we put our heads together, and we actually, it's a long process to create a pricing for that. Obviously, we have a subscription fee that is a different case, and the cost per word structure is also once the engine is deployed.
All right. Okay. And if we have any more questions, I'm sure people can get back to Mihaly.
Sure.
Right. Well, thank you, everyone. That's the end of the webinar today. We promised that I'll send you the our latest ebook. It's titled The Buyer's Guide to Machine Translation Systems. And if you're thinking of buying an MT system, this ebook will actually help you ask the right questions and make the right choice when you're adopting a new translation technology. I'm sure Mihaly will send that to you very soon. And thanks again for attending this session. I hope you had a good time and have a good day. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Thanks, Louise.
Bye-bye.